I mean, this is pretty much the reason why I've been going to class this whole semester, you know what I mean? Like, this is the best part of the semester. This is where I get to play on stage and, like, you know, have a finished product and, like, really feel like I was a part of something and could get, you know, 5 tunes together and play them with people and sound decent. I feel like this semester's really opened my ear up in terms of, like, just like when you're playing, you have to have this kind of dual consciousness of, you have to be aware of what you're doing, but also aware of what everyone else in the room is doing and how you sound as a whole, and, you know, pay attention to tempo and pitch and everything else.
Singing behind horn players or singing on top of them, our vocal lines are not necessarily going to be the same at all times. Also, we have to sometimes change our timbre so that we can almost emulate what a musician would do in that moment.
So I'm a vocalist, and I'm also learning about composition. So when I'm in the combo, though, as a vocalist, primarily I'm responsible for, you know, helping with the melody and helping push, you know, that forward, the top forward. But the vocalist and the horns pretty much share the same role.
Good evening. I'm Lenore Hammonds. And we're going to do a beautiful jazz standard called Body and Soul. My heart is sad and lonely. For you I sigh, for you, dear old why haven't you seen
it? I love singing. It's like praying twice, right? I love singing. So we're together on the stage, but maybe the bass and drums start having a conversation together, like a little thing, and you see them look at each other and kind of like they have a groove together. Or the singer might be singing, or the saxophone player might be playing the melody or the solo part, but then like the trumpeter, you saw on the side, the trumpeter and the sax and the other horns that weren't playing, they kind of made a little chorus, a rhythm, in harmony. It's like, that's community. That's your family, right?
I also react to what my peers are doing. So like if I hear a phrase that Mr. George, the older gentleman who was playing on the piano, or the guitarist behind me, if I like something that he's playing, or the trumpeter, Daniel, I borrow it and then extend it, use what I've learned so far, and then what I kind of hear in my head at the moment to just kind of create my own phrasing and sound and try to be, you know, authentic to the style.
You want it to sound like you meant to play it, and in jazz there's still spontaneous moments, but when you prepare things ahead of time, it leaves the freedom and the space to be able to do that, because everybody knows, all right, we presented the melody, maybe we do something that people don't expect, but then in the solos you get the freedom. So it's a lot of communication, playing through our instrument and also verbally as well.
Well, our model here at Central, which I say the program is where jazz still swings. Jazz is American art form. It originated here, and jazz has evolved throughout generations. However, it's like I said, it evolved, it changed. But here at Central, we try to keep that root, that foundation intact.
Dr. Wiggins, our director of jazz studies, he insists on keeping the concepts in jazz from the core, that it has the elements of swing and the blues. So now that jazz has been appropriated culturally in many, regions in the world, right? You have this Gloetzel of jazz all over the world. They don't all have the swing and the blues. And the schools, now the jazz is in lots of schools, HBCUs and white schools, you know, predominantly white institutions. They don't all go by that concept of jazz having swing and the blues. So we teach our students, if it's not swinging, you can't get on the stage here. You're not gonna, we're not gonna teach you that. We're gonna teach you all the ways that you can play jazz, but you must be able to swing.
I've never really had an issue with swinging, if that makes sense, especially when coming here. It actually kind of reinforced what I was taught, you know, previously before college. And I guess being in this program helped me be more conscious of it, I would say. Definitely of that blues and that swing feel and that whole concept. Because now I hear like bands perform, you know, groups perform in this institution, and I'm just like, whoa, they got the spirit of the music. And I go out, you know, and I'm just like, what are they doing? You know, it's like here it's something different about it, you know, and it's that concept of blues. Like, this is where the foundation of jazz, you know, comes from. And just the fact that he keeps on, it's not just like, oh, from the beginning of the year, this is where it comes from, or like, this is how we play. It's a constant battle, you know? It's a constant thing that he keeps going over and over and over. And I think that's what really separates this program specifically from other institutions, is that it's always out front, the tradition.
The earliest jazz bands, well, after some New Orleans kind of second line jazz stuff, was swing, you know, 20s dance bands, it was dance music. And so, I mean, that's just where it comes from. The natural progression took it from those swing rhythms. Then we had people like Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie turn it into bebop, but you know, they kept that same rhythmic concepts.
Well, swing is an essential part of jazz. A classic definition that I give the students in the program: jazz has to have the elements of swing, improvisation, and the blues. Those three elements combined make jazz what it is today in terms of its traditional approach and where it came from, and what's important that separates this music from any other music in the world. Swing has to do with the rhythm. How it's not what the note is, it's how it's played. It's not what the musical line is, it's what rhythm is attached to that musical line. So the musical statements that one improvises, or the way it's written or the way it's interpreted, has to do with the rhythmic concepts that really were born out of the African tradition. Those rhythms go back to that continent. And if you've ever heard African drumming, the polyrhythm, meaning many rhythms going on simultaneously, you understand where a lot of the syncopation and the rhythms come from. So with the process that began, I guess, during the slavery period from the 1600s on, especially in the first 200 years of it, the slaves brought their musical traditions from various African countries to this country. Even though involuntary, they had to still, they had these things in that culture. And not only were rhythms in that culture, but it was a sense of harmony and a sense of polyphony, which is many sounds at the same time.
Jazz is, to me, knowing all the genres of music is a difficult genre to participate in, and it shows true musicianship if you can catch on to jazz.
I think the best way to get a clear picture of us, for people to get a clear picture of us, if we just are able to play less. It's almost like you go see your reflection clearly when you don't ripple the water.
Yeah,
right. You know?
That's right.
But if you keep on moving it, you're not going to see it, bro.
You're not going to see anything, yeah.
This program really strives to not only attract students here, but they're all about the development of student musicianship. They're all about
the scene.
Like, yeah, they're all about the scene. They're all about working hard to make sure that these students understand the importance of being a musician, not only in one certain aspect. The thing that I also appreciate about this program is they train us to be a complete musician, a full professional musician, not just I'm just strictly a jazz musician, or I'm just a strictly classical musician, or I just strictly play this genre of music. No, they train us to be able to not turn down any professional music gig that might come our way, whether it be from composing, arranging, performing, teaching, anything. They train us to be eagles and soar.
I don't consider trying to make them professional students. I'm trying to make them professional musicians and professionals in the workplace. So the standard of the program requires that for exit. So you have to perform at a certain level when you complete all the requirements of the course, of the curriculum, and that allows you to compete on a professional level and a competitive level with students from any place in the world, any place in the country, any place in the state, because the standards are that high.